So hello and welcome to the Internet Business School surgery session. It is week 10. Time has flown. Hopefully you've enjoyed the last 4 weeks of online course creation, and hopefully people are starting to take action and maybe building something. It does take a little bit of time to build out courses. So congratulations if you're doing it. If you're going to come back to it, well, come back to it because it's a really good strategy. Right. In this week, I tell you what, we've been so busy for the last week or so because we've had big live events and there's been loads and loads going on. Okay, so I didn't have an awful lot of time to prepare and come up with a subject. So I kind of asked Max to find out what the audience had been asking for. And one of the things that seemed to come up was short stories, kids' books, things like that, sort of writing things in a bit of a longer form. Okay, so what I've tried to do is to put together a webinar based on that. Now, I didn't even have time to plan all this out. So Max said, don't worry, I'll write something. I'll write something. And he sent out an email. And I'm just going, okay, right, let's see what he said. Okay, oh, sorry, here's the normal reminder about subscribing to the Internet Business School channel, The Ultimate Business System. But hey, if you're watching the replay, you know that already. But make sure you like and subscribe there and you get notified when the new videos drop. And if you ever want to follow along with the trading platform, then it's the Ultimate Business System that we use in a lot of our demos. And you can get the 30-day trial there. Okay, the link is in YouTube. Okay, so what was my brief? We might as well figure out what I had to do. So I had to come up with ideas around story generation to see the simple step-by-step process for crafting compelling narratives, perfect for short story collections or a beginner's reader's book. Okay. Asset creation, we'll dive into how these story assets can immediately be used. Okay. And short stories, make them into lead magnets, kids' books. All right. And if time allows, getting onto worksheets and visuals. Okay, right. Was there anyone on who had put this subject forward? I want to hear from you. I want to hear from the people who want to do more about, know more about writing. I especially want to hear if we've got any published authors, so I can apologise in advance. Because, you know, we don't want to tread too much on the toes of creatives. And as you'll see, everything that I laid out in this webinar is using AI as a tool. Okay, we're still in charge. We control the process. We're just using AI as kind of like a bit of an ideas person and a script writer, just to move through the process more quickly. Okay, so yeah, Tony asked about this. Anyone else? Michael says he's not a published author, but has been thinking of creating short stories for children's books. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so we kind of remember back in our school days when we used to be told to, well, at least I was told to, you know, sit down and write an essay on this subject or a story on that subject. And you used to have to sit down and come up with some sort of idea. And generally, I've kind of found I hadn't really planned anything out. You just kind of like picked a subject and developed the story as it went along. And sometimes you might have a bit of a framework or you have an idea of where it's going to end. But generally, I just kind of went with the flow. But with AI, we can make that a little bit more structured. Okay, and it's a really good area to get into. I did look at some market sizes just to see whether this is a really good subject, and it turns out it is. Okay? So there was a report there from the Insight aceanalytic.com who were suggesting that the AI and art and creativity sector, of which sort of creative writing is a segment of, is going to grow pretty bigly. Going to grow a lot. Let's cut that bit out later. It's going to grow an awful lot. And so it's kind of worth getting into. And not just from a perspective of, you know, self gratification of actually creating something, of writing something. You know, you might be writing something for family, you might be writing something for a grandchild or for wider publishing. But you also might be using AI to create stories around your product or service that might be useful for sort of lead generation, for emails as well. So there's lots of reasons for constructing good stories. Okay, so I had to map out the simple step-by-step process for crafting compelling narrative, perfect for short story collection or a beginner's reader's book. Okay, so what I did for this is actually I used AI to research this whole area. So even creating a webinar like this is a bit like telling a story. Right? You have to plan it out, work out how it's all going to fit together into a coherent message. Okay, so in a way, everything that I've done to prepare for this is creating a story for you here about how you create stories elsewhere. Okay, so what I did is I asked AI about this and said, look, I actually popped in that email message and said, hey, I've got to create a webinar on this. And I asked it to create me some deep research runs for me to garnish and gather some really good context information about the subject. Okay, so it popped out sort of 4 or 5 deep research runs, which last night I was running them on ChatGPT and Gemini, and each of the deep research runs pulled out a well-researched context document that effectively I downloaded and added to a folder inside of ChatGPT. Okay, so I created a project folder with creative, called it creative writing, and I uploaded a whole load of market of deep research prompts. Okay. And then I use that to plan the webinar. Okay. So it has a really good use case. And this is a format that you should be following. Definitely this projects folder inside ChatGPT, which you can access even if you've got a free account. It's absolutely dynamite. So just create a folder, add some context files, either from deep research or around your business, and then you've got a chat here that will interrogate these extra files you have, as well as the information around that it generally has accessible from its training and around the internet. And you get so much better output. Okay, so that is killer tip number one, even before we start looking at creative writing. So yeah, this is how I've planned out the webinar, and I might come back to that as well, because actually all of these slides were created through those chats as well. Okay, I just got AI to create all these slides, took a screenshot of them, and popped them into my slide deck. Okay, it's simple as that if you know what you're doing. So back to the story. Okay, so creating a story from that sort of blank page that you had as a child. Okay, AI is really good at moving you forward very quickly. But I want to emphasize that it is really about AI as your co-writer, not your replacement. We're kind of fed up with so much AI slop, it's called, just appearing on the internet where people will just, get AI to look at something, create some output, and people don't even bother to read it and just post it or put it out online or claim it as their own. And it's very lazy and it's kind of inauthentic because the humanness, your sort of human element, your ideas, your creativity, your control, they're really powerful. So use them, act as a conductor for this whole process, and you will get something much, much better and something that more that you like as well. Okay, there's no point just putting out AI slop. We're not into that. Okay, so first off, we need to have ideas, don't we? Whatever we're going to write, we need to have some ideas. And AI is fantastic about giving you ideas. It's got access to all sorts of information, all sorts of creativity, randomness, based around sort of subject words you put in. So we've probably all done this ourselves using AI. You've asked it for ideas, 5 ideas, 10 ideas around a subject area. And this is great to get you going. And if you're looking at writing children's books, then you've got to be focused on that and give AI an idea in the prompt, the context of the age group you're looking for, and sort of subject areas, what the aim of the story of or the final story is going to be. Okay. Spoiler alert, don't need to worry about this too much at the moment because actually by the end of this, I've built a prompt that I'm going to give you that has all this built into it. Okay. Um, which I thought would be much easier. Okay. So the prompt that I've got will brainstorm ideas with you. It's going to take 4 or 5 different intake questions from you just to get your initial thoughts about what you want to create. And it's going to use that to create some ideas. Okay. And then you look at those ideas and you tweak, edit, refine, push off in different directions. And then you can use AI to start building the outline of your idea. Okay, so this is what I never did as a kid writing essays. I just I said free wrote, and the story evolved as I went along. And but with AI, we need to have more of a structure. We need to direct which way it's going to go. So for simpler storybooks, you generally have a simple structure. Okay, an introduction, a setup, the challenge, what the child or the hero of the story has got to overcome, and some sort of resolution or payoff or learning lesson. Okay, um, that's good. In short, each act changes the character. Even short stories need growth. Okay. The next stage is then to actually bring your characters to life, flesh out the characters in the world. Okay. And AI, again, is great at providing more ideas around that to get your juices flowing. Okay. And the prompt will help with that as well. Then we move on to actually plan the individual scenes with AI because AI it needs to know what it's doing at all stages. Okay, otherwise it's going to wander off in different directions or not have things in the right sort of context so that the middle of the story doesn't actually match the start of the story if you're not careful. Okay, so you're going to use AI to plan out the scenes. And then we're going to draft the content sort of scene by scene, and then polish and personalize. Okay, which is the really important bit. That is you putting your final stamp on the output, so that you're happy to put your name to it, and then you have a finished article. Okay, so that's the whole process of the prompt I'm going to show you does. Brainstorms, builds the outline, fleshes out the characters, plans the scenes, drafts the scenes, and polishes and personalizes. Okay. Just while I was doing that, a quick question came in from Ma, who said, "Hey, hi, can you publish this book through Amazon Kindle? And can you do all the writing books?" Can you do this all writing books? Now, Amazon Kindle was getting swamped with a whole load of junk AI books, and it was causing a load of issues. Um, and there was a bit of an outcry, and it's been actually been affecting their sales. But I'm pretty sure that actually very recently, even in the last few days, I seem to remember, you now have to declare that you've written the book or not. It's not solely written with AI. Let's just have a quick look. Actually, I'll just see if I can find the story. Um, AI content. Content guidelines. Oh, yeah. Self-publisher must declare if content sold on Amazon site is AI generated. Yeah, it was only about a month ago they did this. Okay, so um, company outs new rules. It says beginning today, when you publish a new title or make edits to or republish an existing title through Kindle digital publishing, you'll be asked whether your content is AI generated. Okay. So they've also added a new section in its context guidance, which now includes definitions of AI generated and AI assisted um, content, and states that sellers are not required to disclose when content is AI assisted. Okay. So what I'm trying to do with this prompt is trying to make sure that this is as much AI assisted rather than AI generated. Okay, so it says here, it's actually a good article to go through. AI generated content is defined by the company as text, images, or translations created by an AI based tool, even if substantial edits are made afterwards. AI assisted content is classified as that created by authors and sellers themselves, but AI tools are used to edit, refine, and error check and otherwise improve. Okay, so that's um, a little bit more tricky to overcome with that definition, isn't it? But it depends on what you want to do with your final story. So you could use the prompts I'm going to show you to create all the outline and character guides for your story, and then use that as a framework and inspiration to actually sit down and write it yourself in your own words. If you did that, you're going to be AI assisted. If you get AI to output all the content, the whole story, and then just go in and make a few tweaks, you're still AI generated. Okay, so that's an important thing to understand. And it depends, and I think that's fair enough, isn't it? We don't necessarily want just sort of um, copy and bash glop stuff out on um, Kindle publishing. However, that's just Kindle publishing, isn't it? So if you wanted to set up a website that you delivered kids' stories through, then you've got your own policies. As long as your stories are good and get the traction and have the trust of parents and people buying them, then they're hopefully they're going to sell if you market them in the right way. Okay, so yes, you're only sort of restricted with that policy on Kindle publishing. It would be good, it will be ethical to say that your content is generated with the help of artificial intelligence. But you could always just sort of clarify that you always have oversight, etc., etc. Okay. And it gives you a bit more authenticity because in this game of selling things online, it's all about that know, like, and trust metric, isn't it? Um, you trust, hopefully trust us. You're here, responding to what we're teaching you. We're not. forcing products down your throat. We're not sell, sell, sell. We're trying to give you information. We're trying to get people to improve, and that helps people with that whole know, like, and trust metric. If you're selling stuff directly online, then you have to build that trust. And if your books and your content are obviously just sort of AI mush, people are not going to buy it. They're going to actively move away from it because there is so much bad stuff around. Okay, so good quality is always going to shine. Okay, does that answer that question, Ma? Okay, I think we might keep that there just as a follow-up. Okay. Kirsty's just mentioned before we go on, can you suggest the best tools to create a children's book, picture pages, and also videos of your children's book characters? Okay, we're trying to get to that at the end. Okay, so let's see how far we get, Kirsty. Okay, but first off, we need the words and the structures, don't we? I know that was in my brief. Let's see how we get on. Okay, right. So let us have a look at creating. Okay, so as part of my process, I created and refined a prompt inside ChatGPT to help run through that process. And I think I've got a conversation lined up. Okay, so I've got a children's book co-creator. Let's just see if I can drop that into chat. Okay, I've just got it in a Word document. So you're welcome to take it and test it out. Because I was actually building it just last night. What you're seeing on screen is going to be it's going to be our second test. But we'll see how it gets on. So I'm going to drop it into the chat now. Okay, so there is a document link there for the prompt. Aren't we nice to you? Aren't we nice to you? Okay. Right. So this prompt is, let's just have a quick look at it. Okay. It's effectively telling that it's an expert children's author and creative writing coach. Your job is to guide the user step by step through creating a children's story using AI as an assistant and co-author. So look, I've built that context directly into the prompt instructions. At every stage, you'll confirm that the user is happy before moving on. Okay, so this is not a sort of a bulldozer job. This is you using AI as a creative tool. The user's creative input is always prioritized. The workflow mirrors a professional hybrid writing process that blends human creativity with AI efficiency. So first off, we have some intake questions we've got to answer, so that we're giving the AI tool some context and direction to work with. And once we've got that, it's going to brainstorm story ideas and generate some ideas that we can run with. Okay. And then we can choose which one we prefer and pick elements from one and until we're happy. Okay. Marion, when you click on, Marion's just said there's no link to the prompt. If you click on that message that I've put in the chat, it should download a prompt onto a Word document onto your device. Okay, and then you'd need to open it and find it. Okay. Right, so we brainstormed some ideas and find out which one you like the most. Once you've got the idea nailed, it will go through outlining the story, either 3-act or 5-scene structure. Okay, so it will run through that process and then expand the idea into a 3-act story suitable for children, age whatever you've said at the beginning with. Okay, so and then build the characters, their name, age, personality, goal, flaw, what they learn, everything like that. Okay, and then it goes through and builds and builds and builds. Okay, it gives you opportunity to review and polish as well. and give feedback on how it comes out in the end. Okay? And then I think it goes into suggesting illustration prompts as well. Built that into it. Okay, right. So it's quite a long prompt. So let's just see how it works. Let's just see how it works. Uh, Michael's asking, is this prompt interactive and does it stop to wait for further input? Yes, it does. It does. We're going to show you how it works. Um, okay. I've kind of built through the conversation about a third of the way through. Okay, so when I ran the prompt, it said, yeah, it's fantastic. I'm thrilled to be here, as AI often is. And it asks some intake questions. Okay, so what type of story do you want to create? A picture book, an early reader, a chapter book, something else? What your target age group is and what the purpose of the book is. Have you got a core concept in mind, a central theme or moral? Do you have a main character in mind, or shall we brainstorm one together? What setting or world do you imagine? What the tone is going to be, whether you prefer rhyming or prose, and should it feel realistic or fantastical. And then you've got some personal options about a child-specific name or their favorite element, and do you want illustration prompts later on? Okay, so that is a whole recipe there that if you can just go through and quickly answer those questions, which I think, if in all honesty, if we're prompted on those bits, it's much easier to sort of break it down and shake down. Oh, I've got these all in individual elements. Let's see what type of story we can make out of it. Okay. So I said, fine. I said, right, let's create an early reader. Just interesting, notice I haven't just gone, okay, answer A1 this, A2 this, A3 this. Okay, I've just had a bit of a conversation here, but answering as much of those intake questions I could do. So let's try an early reader for a 5-year-old to teach them about autumn. The central theme is curiosity and wonder, as we want to spark the reader's imagination and inspire them to learn more outdoors with a parent or relative. We can brainstorm characters, but it would be good to have an animal or two in there, as well as the lead character of a 6-year-old girl called Maisie. Realistic setting in England, tone and style should be wonder and the joy of learning and seeing the detail in nature, and in prose format. Okay, so if you think about it, I've covered most of the bases there, but I haven't written many words. I've just given some keywords there for the AI to be able to work with. Okay, so it's not, not a huge investment in my time. It's just whatever sort of comes out. And it says, right, that's beautiful and clear vision. The story that captures the wonder of autumn in England and the young reader is a fantastic project. Okay, good. Okay. It's always fantastic, isn't it, AI? Always good. Okay, you mentioned the main character's name is Maisie. Is this a specific child you like to personalize? Or is this character just a name you've chosen for the story? And would you want help with illustration prompts later on? And I said, no, Maisie's just popped into my head, and leave the images for later. Says, great. So it just confirms what you want to do. Okay, so it makes sure you're happy with that scenario before we move on. Okay, so if you wanted to tweak anything, you could say, hang on a minute, yeah, just edit this, change that, or add this in. Okay, right, once you've got that locked in, we go on to the brainstorm of story ideas. And it will give 3 different ideas. Okay, and each idea, it's come out with a hook. Maisie decides to make a list of all the ways she knows autumn has arrived, but she keeps getting wonderfully distracted. Okay, but with an example of the summary and the lessons involved in it. Curiosity and wonder are found in the small moments, not just in finishing a task. We've got a squirrel who shared a secret. Every part of nature has a purpose and a secret, and we can learn by watching animals closely. And the puddle investigation. After an autumn rain, Maisie puts on her wellies and finds out exactly what happens in a puddle. Okay. So of those sort of 3 ideas, I could have just said, oh, give me 3 more, give me 3 more, or take something from here and combine it with this, or I could give some sort of direction to it, and then refine that idea. But I think of these as these three. Initially, I kind of thought that a squirrel who shared a secret. It's probably a story that's been. It's a little bit too cliche in a way. Puddle investigation. I'm not sure how many things you could do with a puddle, unless you are as creative as Bluey. Um, if anyone hasn't watched the Rain episode, I have a grandchild. It's an awesome, it's an awesome episode. They don't say anything in it. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, I've kind of gone with number one because I was just doing this quickly as a test. Oh, actually, I haven't. That's where I've got to. Actually, that's where I've got to. Oh, well, yeah, I was kind of letting people vote which way they wanted to go down. But um, my vote is for Maisie's Hello Autumn list. But if you feel strongly that we should go for a squirrel that shared a secret, hit two in the chat. One if you agree with me, and three if you want to know about puddles. Let's see where we get to. I'll try and do it as fairly as possible without my absolute bias of wanting one. It's working perfectly. I've got three ones and Mars says all. I've got one. Oh, Catherine said three. Yeah, no problem. Okay, we've got a puddle. Ones. Uh, Interesting. I just because I've mentioned about squirrels being done to death, no one's said two. Someone's now going to say two, aren't they? Just to be reminded. Owen said three. Okay, so yeah, puddles maybe. It would. I think it would just need some extra development of that idea. Maybe an imagination of moment of dropping into a puddle and seeing what's going down underneath. But I was kind of thinking that, hang on, this is a bit more about autumn. Okay, so and we want to have autumn teaching. So we're going to go with number one. Okay, so let's just see what happens. We'll go with it. Uh, yeah, let's develop the idea number one, please. Okay, right. Everything from now on, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so it could be garbage. It could be fantastic. We'll see. That's the joy of doing live demos like this with AI. Okay, as ever, it's an excellent choice. I love the idea. It's a clear, simple goal. That's cool. So let's move on to the outline of the story. I'll map out the story using a simple structure. For an early reader, this means clear beginning, a middle where Maisie has made a few discoveries, and a satisfying, gentle ending. So we've got a potential outline of scene one that starts in the park. She arrives in the park with her dad. The air is cool and smells like damp earth. She's holding a clipboard with a piece of paper and a pencil. And she tells Dad she's going to make an official Hello Autumn list to count all the autumn things. Okay, Maisie spots a bench, and then she gets distracted by helicopter seeds and crunchy leaves and a busy robin, and then finds out that she hasn't written anything down on her list. And then Dad says, what about the helicopter seed you chased? And what sound did the leaves make? And what did we find? Who we just see finding their breakfast? And then she said, you have a wonderful list right there in your head. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. How does the flow feel to you? Does it capture the gentle, curious tone we're aiming for? Do we want to make any adjustments? Okay. So are we happy with Maisie and Dad? Are we happy with the scene of the park? Do we want to go in a different direction? Bearing in mind it is autumn. And also thinking about, we've got to think about our end users. If a kid is in having this as a bedtime story or something like that, okay, what would engage with them? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about when it comes to that human creativity element. Okay, so if anyone's got any killer ideas, feel free to drop them into chat. We're doing collaborative writing in a group with AI as well. Otherwise, it'll just be where I want to go with it. Okay, right. Let's just see where we go. Um, so I'm kind of happy with the park. The options are like going for a walk in the woods or a walk down the lane, but there's not that many kids who live in the countryside quite as much now. So a park feels like something that everyone can relate to. Um, uh, the okay, so let's just think the park is fine, but maybe we need something else in there, what's a little bit more autumnal. So we haven't had any acorns in there, and we don't seem to have an animal in there as well. We had a robin, didn't we? Okay, so let's blend. Well, we had acorns, didn't we, with a squirrel? So we could have some squirrels collecting acorns, couldn't we? I know it's a little bit cliche, but hey, that's how you know it's autumn, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to go with the park idea and dad. But I think we should also have some squirrels collecting acorns in there, just to beef it out a little bit. Okay, so we'll throw that little tweak into the mix, and AI is going to feed that in. Okay, so revising stage three, and going to slot them in after the crunchy leaves. It creates a lovely flow from the noisy activity to the quiet activity of watching. Okay, so we've got a bit more of an outline. Okay, so if you're doing this yourself, these are all things that you can then tweak and until you are happy. Okay, so once we are happy with this new flow, we can move on. Again, this prompt allows you to keep on refining and reiterating, and it won't move on until you're happy. Okay, so let's just go move on. Right, otherwise, we won't move on. Just while this is developing, Richard says, are these being recorded? And if so, where do I find them? Yes, they're all recorded. We add them to our YouTube channel, which I mentioned at the beginning, which is at the Ultimate Business System tag on YouTube. And I generally, by the time I've finished editing them and tweaking them and taking out all my mistakes, then they go up on, I aim for a Friday lunchtime to post them. But once you find the YouTube channel, then just like and subscribe and you get notified when they drop. Okay, Michael says, I'm amazed the conversation between you and AI. Hey, Michael, no, that's fine. This is part of what I'm doing is kind of also trying to teach you how you can converse with AI. Okay, because that's also part of the confidence and skills, isn't it? Of knowing how to talk to it. Um, cool. Okay, so we're moving on to stage four, build characters in the world. And this is where we add the color and the feelings to our outline. Based on the brief, here are the profiles for our main characters in the setting. So we've got Maisie being 6. We've got an appearance for visualization where it's bright red rallies, a warm woolly hat, maybe with a pom-pom, a coat with big pockets. A pencil is a bit tubed and has an eraser on top. So you can see that AI has worked hard just to build that out a little bit more. And again, of course, we can go through at the end um, and change any of these and poke new directions for AI to go in. Okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about this. We'll almost leave it as is. Goal, flaw in the story. She initially believes the proof of her observation, the written list, is more important than the act of observing. That's good. What she learns, that noticing, playing, and experiencing the world are more important than just finishing a task. Okay, tell that to your boss. Okay. Dad is the adult. He's warm scarf, flask of tea, happy to walk slowly, gentle, patient, and encouraging. He's not looking at his phone at all, is he? And finding out what the football scores are. Uh, and he's walking with Maisie um, around the world. What a fantastic dad, eh? And we've got a local park in England. Think of a typical town park, big old trees, wild grassy area. The grass is green but covered in confetti of fallen leaves. And there's absolutely no graffiti or anything there that there shouldn't be. No antisocial behavior. It's a fantastic park. Good. Okay. Right. So yeah, you can tweak this in any way you like it. So let's just, for the sake of argument, we're going to move on. Uh, Carry on. Let's see where we get to. Carry on. No problem. Okay, there's just while we're this is doing, there's a few people still having a bit of problems with the prompt. Don't worry about it. Okay, we'll get to that at the end, and we'll f figure out a route for you to have it. Okay, because I've got a second prompt to give you anyway as well. So let's might do two of them at once. Okay, stage five, plan scene by scene beats. This is the final step before we start writing the prose. I'll take our 8 scene outline and break each one down into its core components. Da da da. And will be our map for drafting. Okay, so we've got our scene by scene. We've got the park and the plan. Uh, to arrive at the park and state of mission. Visual cues. Okay, it's good. We've got the first sign that she has to do, the helicopter seed, the crunchy leaves, the busy squirrels, the busy robin, the empty list, and the head list. And they all went home for tea. Okay, so yeah, that's all good. Again, we would go through and tweak and add and do any changes. Okay. Um, Not like I'm doing and just saying, yeah, continue, yeah, continue. Um, but yes, continue in this case. Uh, and let's see where we get to. So now we're drafting out some actual language. The language aims to be simple, clear, and rhythmic because I've built that into the prompt based on all the research that we did at the beginning last night, doing deep research, finding out what sort of works for books. Okay, so this is where things get, we potentially need more of your input, your own personal um, thought and aspirations on here. So we've got a bit of a writing for scene one. Maisie pulled her red wellies on. Tug, thump. Ready, Dad, she called. Ready, my little explorer, said Dad, zipping up his coat. They walked to the park. The air was cool and smelled like damp earth and sweet, sleepy leaves. Maisie held something very important. It was a clipboard. And on the clipboard was a fresh white piece of paper and a pencil with a jute top. Today, Maisie said, looking up at Dad, I'm making an official Hello Autumn list. And Dad said, that sounds very important, Dad said, smiling. Okay, so yeah, this is when you would go in and say, like, let's move this around and tweak this a little bit. Okay, but at the moment we're sort of more interested in the structure. What do you think of the opening? What emotion do you want the children to feel thing? Here, I was aiming for a feeling of cozy determination. Would you like to edit this scene and move on to the next? Okay, so yeah, we could edit this and um, we could say that maybe there was a bit of sadness that summer's over, and Dad saying, "Hang on a minute, autumn's just as interesting as summer." Okay, let's just tweak that. Let's add in a little element of sadness at the beginning that Maisie thinks it's terrible that summer is finally over and autumn is here. But Dad steps in and says, no, autumn is really amazing. It's an important part of the time of year for animals and plants. If only you would look. Okay. I don't know. I'm just doing this on the fly. Okay, but I'm just an example that we can change that emotional start and refine stuff. Okay, adjusting the narrative tone, enhancing the opening's impact, connecting to everything. Okay, so now Maisie tugs on her wellies and she walked past to the park with Dad kicking a pile of wet leaves. Splat. I miss summer. All the flowers are gone. Autumn's just brown and cold. Dad zipped up his coat and smiled. Oh, but autumn isn't just brown, Maisie. It's gold and red and very, very busy. It's one of the most important times of the year for animals and plants. You just have to look. Still looks brown to me, said Maisie. Okay, that feels a bit more fun. Um, and then Dad suggests the mission. He suggests the official mission. Um, it's our Hello Autumn list. Let's be explorers and find all the amazing things. Okay, that's cool. So that just feels a bit more fun, doesn't it? Okay. Okay, so we'll just go great, move on. And in theory, we're just going to go through all of these scenes one by one, giving um, our input. Okay, but I don't think we want to go through this whole process together. Um, Complete the story in full using your best judgment. Okay, so I'm just kind of like I'm skipping to the end, hopefully. Let's see what it will come out with. I've given it quite a lot to do, but we've got a really good framework for it to follow on and link its language to, which hopefully is going to make that outcome better. Okay, so we end up with a whole story. So she writes the first thing on the list: the air is crispy. One amazing thing found. Helicopter stuff. That's good. Her list is almost empty still. We need to find some more stuff. Can we go and find a conquer? Um, let's add it to the list. Right. Okay. So this at this point, it's going to ask, right? Yeah. Does it read smoothly? Is the theme clear but not preachy? Is the vocabulary age appropriate and emotional beats consistent? Is it an emotionally satisfying ending for a 5-year-old? It probably isn't a satisfying ending at the moment. It needs a better ending of um, generally going home and eating something in the warm. Okay, but you could task that in. But essentially, you can see how we just follow this prompt through and build it up step by step by step. Okay, I would um, let's get it to finish us off. Okay. Adjust the ending so that they all go home happy to tea and to see mum and to tell her everything that they've seen in the park. And Maisie is now really happy that it's autumn. Show the final result, full story in a canvas for our editing. Okay. So now I've told it to put it into a canvas. Okay, stop. We don't want it to put that bit in. So I've given it, let's tweak the ending, put the full story out into a canvas. So I've clicked the canvas button in Gemini. Oh, let's just go that and see what we come out with. We've just, come up with a story at the end just based on a few random directions at the beginning of that prompt and with our human input at all stages. At all stages. And then we get something like this. Okay, I've asked it to come out to a canvas so we can edit and tweak any of this. So I can, if I wanted to change splat to splosh, I could. That's not a problem. As long as it actually does click on there. There's an edit button. It's just being a bit slow as it's still generating. But anyway, you can overwrite any of this and highlight a section and ask AI to change stuff. You can also highlight a section and change the length. You can change the tone to more casual or very casual. You probably don't want formal. And you can also get AI to feedback through and suggest edits. But hopefully there shouldn't be too many that are required. But then you've got this whole story text that then you could format out into a storyboard and maybe create some images as well. So that's the part of the whole creative process for writing a book, particularly for kids. Okay, so that's an excellent way of doing it. And it's really just you taking that prompt and running with it and polishing it. It's not a quick process, you can see, but it makes it an awful lot quicker than sitting down and maybe writing it yourself. So does that all make sense for that one? Cool. Okay. Just while that is on the screen, I'm going to I'm going to open up another instance of Gemini and see if the tool is still there. Okay. If you go to gemini.google.com, there is something called Gems. And Google have got an experiment here called a Storybook creator. Okay, where you can drop in a whole story with an image and it will write us a storybook. So let's just go back to, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go back to Maisie and let's just ask here in create images. Create a picture of Maisie and her dad in the park. Okay, so I've clicked across to the images creation for Nana Banana, and we'll see what we get up. Now, we should get some really nice images out of here because we've got some fantastic context information in this whole long chat because it's built out all the bits of details. Okay, so there we are. We've got Maisie in her red boots, Dad in his coat and scarf. She's got the air is crispy on here. She's got her bobble hat. Has she got a chewed pencil? That's asking a bit much. He's got his tea in a flask. Hey, I think we're on to a bit of a winner there. Okay, but it just shows the power of doing this, creating the images in that context. Okay, so let's just download that image and go across. And it's also, I suppose, it's a really good feel for a children's book as well. But you could tweak that. Where is Gemini? Okay, Storybook. If I then upload that image into here, and we also need a sorry, that's a lead magnet one. That's cool. Give me a hold on, let's just get rid of give me a very short story outline of Maisie and her dad so that I can add it into a Google Gems storybook creator. Right. This is just showing you what else is possible if you want to do something with a child or a relative or even yourself just for a bit of fun. I'm just going to get this started. So this is the short story. the summary of the story. Okay, let's just go back across to the prompt once my zoom controls go out the way. Really annoying sometimes. Okay, there it is. So let's just pop that in there. Maisie, a 6-year-old girl. That's cool. And we're just going to submit this. And hopefully it's going to take that as a reference picture and it's going to create a storybook for us, which we will come back to. Right. Okay, so I've kind of shown you that whole process of creating a book. Gemini for Nano Banana is really good at doing the visuals. Okay. But you could also drop in here all other types of material to create the book. So we could actually ask for images for any of the pages to come out. Let's just try something else. Create a handout list that a kid could use later as a list of things to go and find in the park for autumn. And also make sure that it's got some colouring angles in there as well to make it really engaging for a young kid. Okay, so just that was a little bit of a ropey language in there, but we'll see what it comes up with. So we've got a things to find checklist. That's good. So you could go through and change all that. So we've got a checklist in there. Let's just do create an image on here and go create an image of that checklist ready for a 5-year-old to color in autumnal items. Okay. Color in autumnal items is probably not the best thing. Let's just correct that one, or otherwise that could be really odd coloring sheet. That's fine. And it should be able to ping something useful out for us. Here's the image of Maisie's Autumn Explorer checklist. Okay. It's not bad, is it? And on a first pass, draw a happy autumn face, just from a bit of prompting. I'd be happy with that. So yeah, if you're a teacher and wanting to make creations for worksheets, etc., then this strategy of going through a longer conversation to give all the context before you get to making these worksheets is really good. You'll get better stuff in here. So that's a worksheet. You could also, let's just try this one. And if we do this one, this is the image of Maisie. Oh, I didn't give it any instructions. Sorry. Duh. Sorry. Let's just stop that because that was not what I wanted to do. Convert this image into a coloring image. So I want it black and white with lines to allow a kid to be able to color it in. Let's see what it can do. And notice how fast Nano Banana is compared to GPT image creation. GPT image creation is like, come back later. Nano Banana is great. There we go. You've now got a coloring sheet for a kid. Yeah, there's a little bit too much going on, but you could just sort of prompt that down and make it simple. But you it's your ideas and your imagination can create a whole lot of cool stuff. If you were then creating this into a PDF book, say, well, look, you've got the words, you can create the images, you can add in the extra resources. What's stopping you? Okay, it's all just down from design and using your words inside these fantastic models. Okay. Um, I did have another final strategy, which is I mentioned there was a second prompt. Okay, so we've done that as a kid's storybook. You could probably get the AI to adapt that prompt to make it into a sort of a young adult audience. Obviously, a sort of a slightly longer story, but writing, trying to write long short stories is much more difficult in AI because it doesn't have any memory involved here. It's only got the memory of this particular chat. And we kind of know with AI that as soon as I've um, I've stopped talking to it here, it's not sitting there thinking to itself, well, saying, "Oh, I wonder what it's going to get me to do next." It's just off, and it only wakes up when we put in our next instruction, and then it goes all the way to the top of the conversation, reads all the way through of what the user has said, us, and sees what its replies is, gets all the context from that information, and then uses it to answer your question. Okay, so it's not sort of formulating stuff with you. When you're trying to do a longer story, um, going through that whole conversation again, time and time again, it's very easy for it to lose a bit of focus and make mistakes, and to go off track and get a bit blurred. Um, so if you were thinking about sort of trying to write a 10,000 word or 20,000 word story, then that's really very difficult to do in Gemini or ChatGPT. There is a bit of a strategy called chunking, where you get it to output. If you give it all the plan, you get it to output page by page. But that kind of works for me up to about sort of 10 or 12 pages, maybe a few more. But any more than that, it kind of starts losing that focus, and that's when you have to use the proper long form writing software online that does have that sort of active memory built into it. Okay, and until in about 6 months' time or a year's time, you can actually build your own AI agent with memory that will do it for you, maybe, if you stick with us and learn some more advanced stuff. Okay, so that's why I haven't really gone into long form writing, because I know Max had said, "Hey, there's lots of people who want to know how to write full books with AI." The answer is don't. There are software out there that does it, and some does it very well. But I always want people to use their own um, personal magic in with AI. Okay, so I've shown you a little bit about making PDFs and worksheets in there. You could quite easily have got AI to make visuals. If you're taking your original storyboarding idea and making it into more of a business asset, then I created another prompt, which I can't remember where I had it here. Okay, so this is a tweaked version of that first prompt, which turns it into a narrative lead magnet co-creator. Okay, I think I've got that on a document as well. So for the people who have successfully managed to download the last document, let me just see if I can drop it in. Okay, so there should be a link in the chat momentarily to a AI lead magnet prompt, which you just click on. Should automatically download it to your device, wherever your downloads folder is. Okay, for all the people who slightly struggling with that, or maybe the link is blocked, then we'll create a route afterwards. Okay, but this is the prompt here. Um, I haven't tested it yet. Okay, but we can test it pretty quickly. Um, I've just loaded it and it says, right, if we're trying to create a narrative around a story or a niche or a product or a service, then that's great. It asks first if you want to do a data-driven discovery. So do you want to start with a data-driven discovery of your audience's emotional language, pain point, and desires? Um, okay. And if he says yes, just say what your target audience and niche is, i.e. female entrepreneurs in wellness or parents of neurodiverse kids, etc. And then it's going to take you through that similar um, creative process, okay, that the other prompt did. Obviously with a slightly different tone to it, because it's not going to ask um, what age group it's for. Okay, so this would be a really good one for you guys to go and test it out, and follow through that process, because you could quite happily make some longer lead magnet stories with call to actions in, to help you in your business or service. Okay. Obviously, it's going to very much depend on what your business or service is, to try and find a story that helps with marketing. But once you've got that story, you could then potentially turn it into a blog post. You could create other social media around that, and you could potentially then go into sort of a video aspect of it, and email marketing as well. Okay, so there's lots of things, lots of possibilities. Serialize the story across 3 to 7 emails for nurturing. Um, you could just create a short story to get engagement and sell it in chunks. It kind of worked for Charles Dickens back in the day. Mostly all of his books were released in magazines, um, and chapter by chapter. A few people are still having problems on before, but Catherine's just come up with a solution for anyone having problems with the lead magnet prompt. She says, got it, thank you. You need to click the link twice, once to download it and again to open it. Works fine for me, and I'm on a Mac. Okay, well, I've got a Mac, Catherine. Uh, Bound to work fine, isn't it? I'm on 2 Macs. That's cool. Right. Okay. Yeah, so lots of different options in there. Okay. Now, I kind of think I've pretty much covered everything that Max wanted me to cover. Um, but if there are any other questions, then drop them in, and we'll see where we get to. Um, then Right. So next time, next Wednesday, I just wanted to um, let people know that the clocks change in the UK. So fall back. So we go from British summertime to Greenwich Mean Time. So when we're at 1 o'clock next week, it could be an hour earlier, depending on where you live in the world. So just check your Zoom link, or check wherever you are for your time zone to GMT, just so you know to turn up at the right time. Okay. Right, so we need to fix an issue for people um, downloading the prompt, yeah? Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me show you how you do this using Bitly. Okay, because this is another bit of potential business tips. Okay, how you get these documents out to people when it works for some but not for others. Okay, so just bear with me, man. I'm just looking up here because I'm just opening up a page that I'm going to drag across. Okay, right. Just bear with. I just need to make sure it is clear of data. Right. Okay. Right. Who's got Bitly? Who uses Bitly? Right. I'm going to drop into my Bitly account. I've actually got a free Bitly account. Okay, and this is where you can create links, shorten links, and also things like QR codes and all sorts of stuff. Okay, I've had a Bitly account for years, so I've probably got some functionality on here that if you sign up for a new Bitly account, you don't have. I don't know. Okay, so now if you've got a website, if you're a website owner, okay, I'm going to bring this across. This is actually the Internet Business School website, and it has websites have media libraries where you upload all your images that you're going to put on your website. But you can actually use it for creating or storing all sorts of other stuff. So I've got some prompts links in here as well, and I've used in the past. And essentially, what I'm going to do, this is not foolproof, but if you've got a media library, you can click on here to add new and select file that you want to upload to your computer. So I'm going to try this one. This is the children's book prompt. And let's just see if that's going to upload. Sometimes docs can be a little bit finicky. Okay, no, it's done there already. Sorry, was fast as quick. So there's the children's book master prompt. It's uploaded to my media folder in my website. I'm going to click on it and open it, and it creates a URL for it, which I'm going to copy that to a clipboard. I'm going to come across to Bitly, and I'm going to create a new link, shorten the link, and if I put that in as the destination, and then I'm allowed to shorten the links a little bit. Let's do a children's AI book writing prompt. As long as no one in the world has ever used that link shortener and on a Bitly link, I'll be allowed to use it. I could generate a QR code as well. And let me just give it an internal title, prompt for AI kids book writing, just so I know what it is. And I can then create that link. And if I copy that link, pop that into chat, in theory, that's going to then take you through to download the prompts. So I'm just going to do it in here. Bitly have put for some people, they've put an extra step of page in, a bit of advertising. But you see, when I click that Bitly link, did you notice really quickly there was a download that appeared, and it downloaded that prompt directly onto my desktop into my download folders. Okay. Okay, so Alexandra was just saying, "Where's the library kept?" I've only got it if you've got a WordPress website, hosted WordPress website, you have a media library for that website. Okay, so this is the WordPress dashboard media library, and then you add a new document. Okay, so actually, let's just do it. I'm going to do it again because we've got the other prompt to try and give you as well, which is the AI lead magnet prompt. Okay, which is uploaded here. Here is the clipboard. I'm going to copy it now here. Okay, and I'm just going to hide that a little bit. Okay, so I've now got that media file link copied to my clipboard. Let's create a new shorten a link and paste that into here. And this one is a lead magnet writing prompt. Okay. Writing prompt. If I don't do this at the same time, it all gets a bit messy. Again, I could generate a QR code as well. That's fine. So if I copy that link and drop that into the chat, okay, anyone who hasn't got the that prompt should be able to download it. And if I wanted to, I'm pretty sure I created a QR code, didn't I? So let's just download the QR code for that one, just to show you how that works. And I'll just stop that player. And if I adjust this, replace the video in here, and if I import that QR code and put it in here, there we go. If you click on that, if you show your camera at that, it should download or give you the link to download that file. Okay, let's just make it a little bit smaller. Okay. That's how you get things done quick and simply. Okay. Everyone's going to have different technology and hit little different tech barriers. It's not a problem. It happens. Okay. But we'll try and get it across to you as much as possible. Okay. If anyone hasn't got those links yet, then the best thing to do would be to just, if you hang on and wait until I post everything on the YouTube channel on Friday at 1 p.m. ish. I'll put some links again, but there will be links to download that similar to this. Actually, it'll be those bit.ly links. Okay, so they're going to be somewhere on your computer, somewhere or other. So if you just search for those document names on your computer, lead magnet or book writing, children's book writing, hopefully they'll ping up. Okay, has everyone got the prompt who needs it now? If there is anyone who's still struggling, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, no, I forgot to zip back to see how Gemini, the gem, had got on with the book writing. And this is the amazing thing that it comes out with. It produces a book like this, and you can read it and you can also listen to it. Let's give it a go.
Maisie's Amazing Autumn. Maisie sighed, a little gray cloud of a sigh. Summer's gone, she mumbled, staring out the window. Now everything is just brown and boring. Her dad knelt beside her. Boring? Maisie, autumn is an adventure. I have a mission for you, if you choose to accept it. He held out a clipboard with a piece of paper that said, "Hello, Autumn." In the park.
Okay, so maybe some of the voices are a little bit lacking, but you can see what we've got. We've got something, a bit of fun. The beautiful, consistent pictures that have come out from our generation as well. Look, we've got some things twirling from the trees that look right. We've got consistent red boots, and that is consistent. And we can just sort of click over the page, and Maisie is running around giggling. It's good. There she is. Crunch, crackle, swish. How cool is this? Oh, look, there we are. We've got our obligatory squirrel with the acorn. And we've got a robin as well. And we've got a little bit of a sad Maisie with a tear as well. And a bit of a happy Maisie as she comes to the realization, and then she's back home and yelling everything to mum. So really cool if you've given it the right sort of colorful context in there and the context document. It's brilliant. And hey, look, I could share that storybook as well if I needed to, just so that other people could watch it, or you could post it to social media if you wanted to. But quite good fun to work out with younger kids as well. Okay, so that is the gems thing. Okay, right. So great. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I've hit the mark. I've no idea what the plans are for next week. But I think it's either Max or Vish. So something back, something to do with marketing or creating and doing stuff on the Ultimate Business System platform. But every week there'll be something new to move you forward. That's what it's all about. Okay, hope you got some good value out of that one. And I will see you next time.